Welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for joining me here today. If you are new here, my name is Trish and I am super passionate about skincare. And today we are going to be talking about retinoids. And I realized it's been a while since I have sat down and done any kind of a retinoid roundup, which basically includes all the products in my skincare collection that has a retinoid in it. So how I'm going to do this video is I'm going to start it with a quick overview of retinoids. Many of you may already be very familiar with retinoids and you don't really feel like you need this overview. So if that is the case, I'm going to include timestamps so you can just jump to the product or products that you are curious about and you can just skip this overview that I am going to do. But if you would like a quickie overview, let's go ahead and jump into that right now. So retinoids are ingredients that are derived from vitamin A. So this is going to include retinoic acid, which is also known as Retin A, that's the brand name. Retinol and retinal are also retinoids. Hydroxypinacolone retinoate is also a retinoid. Instead of saying that mouthful of hydroxypinacolone retinoate, I'm going to refer to it as HPR, which it is commonly referred to. And what's great about retinoids is that it is one of the most studied skincare ingredients. So it has clinical studies to back up the claims that skincare companies will make about it, such as that it stimulates collagen production, that it decreases hyperpigmentation, that it will help fade scars, that it helps reduce acne, it helps reduce fine lines. So it really is a great skincare ingredient, and that is why so many people love to use it, and that's why so many dermatologists recommend using it as well. One thing to be aware of is that it can cause photosensitivity, so it is incredibly important that you use an SPF when you are using a retinoid. And I'm going to give you a little bit of information about some of the individual retinoids. Retinoic acid is the strongest retinoid, and that is because it is biologically active. It binds directly to the retinoic acid receptor. It also can cause a lot of irritation. So some of you who have used Retin A might have experienced a lot of dryness, a lot of irritation. So that is something you need to be aware of using retinoic acid. Now, what's interesting about HPR is that it is an ester of retinoic acid, so it too binds to the retinoic acid receptor, but it doesn't cause the irritation that retinoic acid does. And then of course there's retinol, which is actually 2 conversion steps away from retinoic acid. But what's interesting about retinol is even though it's 2 conversion steps away from retinoic acid and it's not quite as effective as HPR, it can be more irritating than HPR. So I do find that interesting that even though retinol is not quite as effective as HPR, it can be more irritating. Now, my personal experience is that I have never found retinol to be irritating, but my skin is pretty resilient when it comes to things like retinoids as well as AHAs. I do get some irritation if products are pretty high in glycolic acid, but for the large part, I typically don't get a lot of irritation when it comes to active ingredients like retinoids and AHAs. But of course, everybody is different, but I thought I would just throw it out there that just for me personally, I have never had any irritation with retinol or HPR. I have used Retin A in the past when I was a teenager. I can't really remember what my personal experience was with retinoic acid that long ago, but as an adult, I have used retinoic acid and I actually have not had too much irritation with that. So that just kind of goes to show you that my skin is pretty resilient when it comes to retinoids. Now, in terms of how I'm going to talk about these products, I'm going to start with the serums that I have. I've got a couple of emulsion type products, and I've got a couple of oils, and then I've got a cream to talk about. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Bloomeffects Black Tulip Overnight Retinoid Serum. Now, for those of you who have followed me for quite a while, you know that this has been what I'm going to call a perennial favorite of mine because I love this product so much. I've talked about it a ton on my channel, and I just cannot rave about this enough. The only downside I would say is that it is relatively expensive. This does run $119. So what I typically do is wait for a sale that Bloomeffects has. But for those of you who know, I do have a code for 20% off. So that's usually what their sales typically tend to be, between 20 and 25% off. So you don't necessarily have to wait for the sale if you want to use my code, which is Trish, for 20% off. But moving on to why I love this product so much. The first reason is I do love Serum so much. So this has the most gorgeous color And the texture is just a beautiful emulsion type serum. And I'll tell you why it has a lovely texture. And that is because it has some beautiful oils in here. It's got hemp seed oil and olive oil as well as glycerin. So because it has glycerin as a humectant with those oils in it, that oil, glycerin, emulsion just feels beautiful on the skin. And then in terms of the retinoid in here, it has the HPR in it as well as bakuchiol. Now bakuchiol does have similar effects as retinoids. So it's going to increase collagen, it's going to increase cell turnover, all the things that retinoids typically do, as well as decreasing hyperpigmentation, helping with acne, helping decrease fine lines, all the good things. But bakuchiol is not a vitamin A derivative. So I love that this product has both the retinoid as well as bakuchiol. So for those of you who are not familiar with Bloomeffects, they have a tulip farm in the Netherlands, and which is absolutely beautiful. I mean, I've never been there, but I've seen pictures and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So they have a proprietary tulip complex. So that means they sustainably upscale the petals from their tulips. So for this particular product, they utilize the black tulip. So that's the darkest tulip, which is very, very rich in flavonoids, which are antioxidants. And then this product also has niacinamide in it and lactic acid. So overall, this is a very efficacious product that I really love using, not only for the HPR that it contains, but also the bakuchiol, the lactic acid, the niacinamide. As I mentioned, I love the texture. I love everything about it. So this one is a huge, huge favorite of mine that I have been using for years now. So next up is the Vetted R Retinoid Serum. This is $98. And you'll see here that this is on the runny side, maybe a little thicker than the Bloomeffects, but I think a little bit too thick to be in a dropper. So let's get into the details about it. This is $98 and this has HPR in it. So the same retinoid as in the Bloomeffects. This also has squalane in it. And this also has gluconolactone in it, which is a polyhydroxy acid, which is derived from sugar beets. So similar to an AHA, but actually an even larger molecule. And because it is a larger molecule, it's going to have even a less chance of causing any kind of irritation than an AHA will. So the PHA, which is the gluconolactone, is a gentle exfoliator and it's also an excellent humectant. So because it has the gluconolactone as well as the HPR and the squalane, I really, really like this serum a lot. I think it's really beautiful. It feels great on the skin. The one thing about this serum is it does have an interesting scent. And I talked about this in a previous video where I was saying that I feel like the scent is coming from the raw materials. It doesn't have a chemically, synthetic-y type scent or anything. It's not offensive, but it does smell like the raw ingredients of the skincare. Now for me, it's not a deal breaker. Doesn't cause any kind of like headache or negative reaction for me, but I did feel like it's important to mention for those of you who might be super, super sensitive to scent, this might not be one that you would want to try. But for those of you who like HPR, you like that feel of squalane in your skincare, and you're also interested in gluconolactone, or you know that you like that ingredient in your skincare, I feel like this is a really beautiful serum and I really like it a lot. And I would not let the scent situation deter you, because as I'm sitting here with this on my hand, it's already dissipating. But like I said, I just wanted to mention it because I really do appreciate when I'm watching reviews that people do mention what's going on with the scent of certain products. Moving on to a product that is relatively new to me. I've had this one for, I don't know, maybe 4 to 6 months or so. I can't remember the exact timing of when I received this product, but this is the Remedy for Pore Size. Now this is marketed more for people with acneic skin, but I have found that this works fine for my skin as well, being a little bit more on the mature side. I don't really struggle with acne at all anymore, but this is really reasonably priced at $32, and this has 0.3% encapsulated retinol. This also has 1% encapsulated salicylic acid, and of course salicylic acid is great for exfoliation, especially if you struggle with blackheads. And this has 5% niacinamide, and 5% from my understanding is kind of that sweet spot so that the niacinamide won't cause any irritation. I believe if you go higher than 5%, niacinamide can start to cause some irritation for your your skin. This also has glycerin, squalane, green tea extract, turmeric extract. And with that squalane and glycerin, I'll show you the texture of this one. You can see that it is on that lotiony serum side. And this has a really beautiful texture as well. As you can tell, it's different than the Bloomeffects. The Bloomeffects has more of that serum texture. You saw it coming out of the dropper. This is more of a lotion, but not a lotion in the sense where you would rely necessarily on this as your sole moisturizer, or at least I would not rely on this as my sole moisturizer. I would need something a little bit more heavy duty, especially in the wintertime. But if you do have oily skin, you could maybe get away with this as your sole moisturizer at nighttime. Again, you'd want to use this in the nighttime. It's a little bit hard for me to say because I just don't have oily skin, but for my needs, I do need to use something on top of this at nighttime. Now, I will tell you with my personal experience with this, because it has the salicylic acid, I like to use it when I'm feeling like I have some congestion, which I tend to get a little bit around my nose here. I don't really think they're blackheads. I feel like they're more on the whitehead spectrum of things. So when I'm feeling like I have that, I like to reach for this product. And I feel like after a couple of nights of using this, it definitely knocks out that texture that I have. So if you do struggle with whiteheads, blackheads, you do have acneic skin, this might be something you would want to check out, especially because it has a really good price point. Another product that is kind of along the lines of the remedy for pore size is the Inkey List Retinol Serum. This has 1% retinol in it. This is $25, so very reasonably priced. And I say it's similar because it has a very similar texture. Maybe squeezed out a little bit too much, but you can see that it has a similar lotiony texture. And as I'm rubbing it on my hand, it feels almost identical to the remedy for pore size. Very, very similar. In fact, if I had them side by side, I don't really think I'd be able to tell you which one is which, except for that the Inkey List has a very slight scent to it. And the remedy for pore size, I don't really think had any scent at all. This one just has a mild, just sort of generic skincare scent. I don't believe it has any quote unquote fragrance in it, but it just kind of has a mild, I don't even really know how to describe it. Like I said, just kind of that generic skincare scent, not offensive at all. Like I said, not fragranced either. I think it's just the ingredients that I'm smelling, and maybe it's the apricot kernel oil. Has a little bit of that scent to it. So let's talk about the ingredients. So the Inkey List has apricot kernel oil in it, has avocado oil in it. It also has squalane and glycerin. And then, as I mentioned, the 1% retinol. So it just kind of depends upon what you're looking for in terms of price point, accessibility. You know, Inkey List is really easy to get if you don't want to have to order online. You can just walk into a Sephora and pick this up. You could even test this on your hand. I don't know if they're giving out samples anymore at Sephora. Seems like that's not really a thing that they're doing anymore. But anyway, you'd be able to do a patch test on your hand at Sephora if you're concerned about any type of reaction. So anyway, I feel like this is a good one to look at if you are dipping your toes into the world of retinol, if retinol is what you really want to be looking into, and you also like the idea of more of a lotiony type serum, then the Inkey List Retinol Serum 1% is one you might want to look at. Now, I will specify, I personally like the 1% retinol serum. I know they have another one that's a little less expensive. This one is $25. I think they have one more in maybe the $16 range. It's definitely under $20, but in that formulation, I do believe it has dimethicone in it, which is an ingredient that I do avoid personally. Not that I'm philosophically against it, but just for me, dimethicone does not work on my skin. So the next product I'm going to talk about is the Insta Facial Emulsion by Metacine. This is the brand created by Dr. Diamond, who is a very famous plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills, who also has a very famous facial that he does, or I don't know if he actually does it. Maybe the nurses or some providers in his office do it. So he created these products for those of us who can't get to his office in Beverly Hills, which includes his Instafacial Plasma, which revolves around growth factor, peptides that are growth factors. So that is a serum that I have been using, and I actually do really like it, but I'm going to talk about that in a different video since I'm not talking about growth factors in this video, and I do have mixed feelings about growth factors. So I'm going to get into that in a different video. This video is focusing on retinoids, obviously, and this Instafacial emulsion has HPR in it. So let's go ahead and talk about this. This is very, very, very expensive. This is $350. And normally I would not typically have something so expensive sent to me, but it was a set, and the set came with this emulsion and the other serum, the Instafacial Plasma serum, which is a dropper bottle. And that one is expensive. It's $200, but it's not quite as expensive as this. But when the PR person reached out to me, it was being sent as a set. So I was really mostly interested in the serum, but I said, yeah, go ahead and just, send me the set. And I also knew that there was quite a buzz about these two products. So I figured it would be nice to give it a try just to be able to tell you all, for those of you who are interested in very high-end skincare, to give you my thoughts and feelings about this. Now, when I was sent this, I did not realize that this had dimethicone in it. And not only does it have a little bit of dimethicone, it has a lot of dimethicone in it. Dimethicone appears in the ingredient list 4 times, which is really interesting. I'm used to seeing dimethicone maybe 1 time listed in an ingredient deck, but it appears 4 times in this ingredient deck. In fact, I think it might be the second ingredient on the list. But anyway, this has HPR in it, and it also has a lot of peptides in it. So that's the selling point of this product, is that it is very high in peptides, not the growth factor peptides in their Instafacial Plasma, but I believe it's the peptides that are focused on stimulating collagen. With this delivery system, it's one of those ones where you push it down and then the product comes up, and I'm almost out of it. Actually, let me see. Yep, there's a little bit more in here. So let me just swipe a little bit on here to just kind of give that sense to you of how it feels. It actually feels really, really good on the skin. You do get that silicone feeling. There's no doubt about it. So if you are a fan of a silicone type of emulsion, you will absolutely love this texture. I'm kind of here nor there because I just don't use silicones on my face. I'm not really used to it. So for me, it kind of has a novelty feeling. Now, like I've been saying a lot in past videos, and I've also already mentioned it in this video, I don't use silicone products on my face. So actually how I've been using this product just to test it out is I've been using it on my neck. So I've been using it very liberally all over my neck and my décolleté. And I will tell you that I do feel like my neck is looking a little more firm. I don't struggle a lot with wrinkles or sagging of my neck. I don't really feel like my neck shows a lot of signs of aging, except for, when I get sort of like a unflattering angle on a camera, or, if like you're taking a selfie or you just kind of like catch yourself in the mirror in sort of a weird angle or whatever, then it's sort of like, that's kind of unflattering. Those are the times I'll feel like, I don't know, is that a sign of aging or is that just a sign of an unflattering picture or whatever? But I do feel like it has made my neck look a little bit firmer. Now, is that because I'm just focusing on my neck so much with a product that has HPR? Would I have the same effect if I used any one of these products on my neck, which I've really never done before? Or is it because this product is really amazing and it is loaded with these peptides that I don't really have in any of my other skincare? It's really hard to say, but it is a really nice product in terms of the way it feels. I wish I could use it all over my face, but I'm just not willing to use a product that has dimethicone all over my face because I really do feel like products with dimethicone in it do tend to give me milia. And I forgot to mention that this does not have any kind of a scent to it. So what I would say overall is if you have a lot of disposable income and you have been very, very curious about the Metacine Instafacial Emulsion, I would say go for it, give it a try. It is a really elegant formula. It feels really great on the skin. I think it has given me some improvement on my neck and décolleté, but it is very, very expensive. So I would definitely not get yourself into credit card debt to purchase this because I think the other products that I am talking about here today are probably just as efficacious as this one. The fact that it has all the peptides in it probably does make it a little bit more efficacious. I mean, I cannot say for sure. I will say though that I have been using it in conjunction with the Instafacial plasma. So I have been using that plasma all over my neck as well. So I'll use it all over my face and my neck, and then I will use this on top of that just on my neck. So it could be the synergy of those two products that has been working really well on my neck and décolleté. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. $350 is obviously a lot of money to spend on a skincare item, especially if you're also going to buy the Instafacial plasma. I did just do a video where I compared the NUA radio frequency device to the Zip device. So you could watch that video and see if maybe, your money would be better spent on buying a device. Although I will say you cannot use those devices on your neck. So maybe it is worth spending $550 on this facial that you could do a couple times a year if you really do see a difference in your skin. I can't say for sure. It's up to you guys how you spend your money. And let's go ahead and move on to the two oils that I have that I just really enjoy using a lot. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Mara Retinol Facial Oil. This is $120, so this is definitely on the expensive side as well. So as I mentioned, this has retinol in it. This also has fermented green tea. They say that because it is fermented, it helps amplify the benefits and absorption of the polyphenols, fatty acids, vitamin A, B, and E of the green tea. There's also cacao in here, which is the highest natural source of vitamin A that helps boost collagen production and promotes cellular turnover. So again, very similar to what the retinoids do. Now, there's also wild collected algae in here, and this wild collected algae is infused in all of the Mara products. And this wild collected algae is very rich in phytonutrients. And then a few of the oils in here are moringa oil, sunflower oil, and watermelon seed oil. And moringa oil is the first ingredient. And moringa oil tends to be one of the more expensive oils used in skincare. So that could be a reason why this is an expensive oil. And as I mentioned several times here on my channel in so many different videos, that I really love creating my own emulsion with the Mara oil, the Mara Retinol Oil. So I do that with the Apis flower sap. And the two of these together just feel so smooth and luscious on the skin. I just really look forward to using this combination together at nighttime. And then the other combination I love using is the Alpyn Beauty Clarifying Facial Oil with the Live Botanical Moisture Liquid. And let me tell you why I love the Alpyn Beauty Clarifying Facial Oil. So this is a little less expensive than the Mara one. This is $56. And this has retinol in it. There's also pink algae and red raspberry leaf extract. The oils in here are jojoba seed oil, squalane, pumpkin seed oil, meadow foam seed oil, argan oil, and moringa seed oil. So there is also moringa oil in the Alpyn Beauty oil, but unlike the Mara Retinol Facial Oil, it is much further down on the list of ingredients, whereas with the Mara Facial Oil, the moringa is the very first ingredient on that oil. And as I'm about to talk about the scent of the Alpyn Beauty oil, I realized I forgot to mention the scent of the Mara, and I just put a little bit on my hand here. And it has a very, very mild kind of neroli-ish type of scent. Nothing overpowering, nothing that bothers me. Sometimes neroli can kind of get a little bit irritating for me. Not that I don't like it, but in skincare, sometimes it just gets a little bit fatiguing for me and I get a little bit tired of the scent. But that has not happened for me with the Mara Retinol Facial Oil. I do really like the scent. It is very light and mild. Now, in terms of the scent of the Alpyn Beauty, I'm gonna put a little bit on my hand here and I'll let you see how it comes out of the pump. This has a little thinner of a texture than the Mara oil, which is to be expected, especially with that meadow foam seed oil in here. But the scent of this is very lightly vanillic. And the reason why I like mixing it with the Live Botanical Ambient Moisture Liquid is because this has a really lovely scent of strawberry. So the two of these mixed together really meld into this beautiful strawberry and vanilla scent. The strawberries just feel like you're out in a field of fresh strawberries with a hint of sweetness in the air. It's just really beautiful. So I love combining these two together. And then of course the texture is very smooth, very similar to when I combine the Mara and the Apis flower sap together. It makes for a really beautiful evening skincare ritual where I really look forward to it and I just really, really enjoy it. And I find both oils to be very, very effective. I tend to reach for, oh, I think I forgot to mention actually, the reason why the Alpyn Beauty is called the clarifying facial oil is because there's salicylic acid in it. So I tend to reach for the Alpyn Beauty when I feel like I need a little bit of exfoliation in the evening. And then I will reach for the Mara Retinol facial oil when I feel like I need a little bit more nourishment, a little bit more moisturizing. Now the Alpyn Beauty does a great job of being moisturizing, but like I said, I tend to reach for that one when I feel like I need to get rid of a little bit more texture, when I need a little bit more overnight exfoliation. Now, last but not least, I have completely fallen in love with the Typology Firming Night Cream. Now, this has 0.2% retinol and Tsubaki oil. And Tsubaki oil is Camellia japonica seed oil, which is different than the oil from the green tea plant. Camellia japonica seed oil is a different ingredient entirely. And my understanding is it's an even higher quality oil, one that has even more antioxidants in it. That is my understanding. If somebody has more information regarding Tsubaki oil, please do let me know down below. This also has jojoba esters in it as well as sunflower seed wax in it. So I feel like those two ingredients, the jojoba esters as well as that sunflower seed wax, helps to create this really nice texture that is emollient yet thick and creamy at the same time. So it's that texture that I always talk about that I really, really like. So it's not too matte. It doesn't give that texture where as soon as you put it on, it soaks into the skin and you're kind of wondering where it went. I really like creams that have that emollients to it that you can really feel on the skin, but also have a little bit of a heft to it, some texture to it, but you also don't want it to be too thick. So it's definitely that Goldilocks thing that's a little bit hard to explain. There's no scent whatsoever that I personally can detect. I really like using this at nighttime when I have done my skincare kind of on the early side. So let's say if I have taken a shower around 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening and I've done my full routine of skincare that early in the evening. And then right before I go to bed, I want to do a little something extra because, you know, I've already done all my whole skincare routine, so I don't need to do it again. But I do want to put something on my face before I go to bed. What I'll do is usually mist my face with some kind of a toner, and then I'll put on a layer of the Typology Firming Night Cream. So I've really been enjoying using it for that purpose. I will use it, of course, in my regular skincare routine if I am doing my skincare later in the evening, kind of like at the normal time when I am getting ready for bed. I will incorporate it into my skincare routine at nighttime. But like I said, if I've done my skincare really early in the evening, like after a shower, I find that this is just the perfect cream to use right before I go to bed as just sort of like a finishing step if I don't really need to do my whole skincare routine at that point. And they are a French company. All these products are made in France, but it's very easy for customers in the United States to purchase from them on their website. And this is $58.50. Anyway, huge rave for Typology. I feel like I need to do a dedicated video on Typology because overall, the products that I have been trying from them have been huge hits for me. So really can't rave enough about Typology in general. So that does it for my Retinoid Roundup. Those are all the products that I currently have that have a retinoid in it. Obviously, all these products that I talked about have HPR in it or retinol. Those are the two retinoids that I really enjoy using. And I hope that you did enjoy this video. And if you did, please do give me a thumbs up. And if you have not yet subscribed, I would love it if you would do so. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.